The proposed supplemental transportation budget was recently released. As a member of the House Transportation Committee, you've been vocal about your concerns regarding I-405 and Highway 169. Does this budget address any of those concerns?
I'm pleased to say that yes, this year's supplemental transportation budget, we were able to obtain a supplemental budget proviso in the amount of $150,000 that will fund a safety study for the SR 169 corridor at some very specific points that have had some recent tragedies occur. We want to make sure that we can identify what improvements we can make to the roadway at those areas to improve safety and also to reduce congestion. So this safety study will be the first part in that process. With 405, I co-sponsored legislation to deal with the hot lanes on I-405, and unfortunately we were not able to get that bill heard in committee. But that bill would have restored the HOV lane to 2 occupants per vehicle plus, as opposed to the current 3 occupant requirement. And it also would have rolled back hot lanes to only 1 toll lane. That would have gone a long way towards restoring I-405 to what it was prior to this issue arising this past year. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get that bill heard in committee. We're going to continue our efforts to try to convince the leadership in the House Transportation Committee to hear that bill so we can get some relief.
The February revenue forecast was just released. According to the report, the general fund state revenue forecast has decreased by $67 million for the current biennium and is projected to be lower by $442 million compared to the November 2015 forecast for the 2017-19 biennium. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's not necessarily good news, obviously. Anytime we have a decrease in the revenue forecast, that is a sign that our economy is not growing as robustly as we had hoped. There are sectors of our economy, particularly in manufacturing and also the service economy, that really need some help. I'm a little dismayed that in Olympia we have not adjusted our budget in light of current revenue expectations. I'm very concerned that the House Democrats, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, just yesterday introduced their budget that calls for significant tax increases to bridge the gap between anticipated revenues and our budget. So I'm committed to not raising taxes. I mean, our families are continuing to tighten their belts, and people live, we're asking people to live within their means. Olympia needs to do the same thing.
You recently held 3 town hall meetings in district with Representative Chad Mogendas. What issues were discussed during those community events?
Well, first off, I'd like to thank everyone that came out on a Saturday to attend. They were well attended. We had meetings in Maple Valley, Issaquah, as well as in North Bend at the Mount Si Senior Center. Again, we had lots and lots of folks attend each of those events, and they were very successful. The issues were really similar throughout each of the 3 town halls. Focus on transportation, particularly SR 169, and improving the safety of that roadway, as well as doing congestion relief. I-405 and the tolling situation on there that has really become a debacle and has really negatively impacted people's commute times. We also talked about charter schools and the need to fix the charter school law that was recently ruled unconstitutional by the Washington State Supreme Court. I disagree with that ruling, but we have legislation pending before this legislature this session to fix that so we can restore our charter schools to their full funding and ensure that those continue, because they are such a great alternative for lots of communities across the state, both rural, urban, and particularly for communities of color that really rely on charter schools to provide the innovation and quality education that our public schools are not delivering currently. Lastly, we heard a lot about the transgender bathroom bill. People are very upset the way that not only the process in which the Human Rights Commission adopted this rule, and also the underlying policy that allows people to have access to the restrooms and locker rooms based on their internal feelings of who they are. I think that's wrong. I think that we should not subject our young girls to the potential of having those who may identify as females enter into their locker rooms. We again we introduced legislation to address that issue and to prohibit and repeal that rule from the Human Rights Commission. Unfortunately, we have yet to get that bill heard in committee, but we're going to continue our efforts, although time is running short with only a couple days left before policy cutoff. So that's unfortunate, but we're going to continue our efforts, and I hope that the people of Washington State continue to make their voices heard on that issue. Finally, I just want to thank everyone again for coming out to the town halls. If you weren't able to make it, or if you'd ever like to contact me, please don't hesitate to reach out at my office, either via phone or email. I thoroughly enjoy the opportunity to serve you, and hearing your input, hearing your views is vital to enable me to effectively do my job, to be your voice here in Olympia. So thank you for that, and please don't hesitate to contact me.